welcome. First of all, welcome. This is Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm Bruce Anthony, your host, here to lead the conversation in important topics and events that are shaping today's society. Join the conversation. Follow us wherever you get your audio podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch our video podcasts. Rate, review, like, comment, share. Share with your friends, share with your family, hell, even share with your enemies. On today's episode, it's the Sibling Happy Hour, and it's also the 100th episode. We're going to be answering your questions and also talk a little bit about Katt Williams. But that's enough of the intro. Let's get to the show. What up, sis?
What up, brother?
Welcome. 100. We here.
100. As you can see, anybody who is watching us on the YouTubes, I do have my bedazzled 100 tiara.
She got that 100 tiara, y'all. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's the 100th episode.
This is the 100th episode.
Because I am extra.
Ain't nothing wrong with celebrating this milestone.
No, it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. You know, a lot of podcasts don't last. Say what?
That's true. It's a BFD.
Okay, yeah, okay. Now I got that. I didn't get it at first, but BFD. No, yeah, I got that. It went over my head, and then I caught it right before.
You got it.
Yeah, I got it. It is a big deal. Like a lot of podcasts fail.
True.
A lot of them fail. A lot of them don't keep up with the work. This isn't going to be some self-congratulatory patting on the back episode. That's not what we're going to do.
Why the hell not? We made it to 100 episodes. That's a BFD. And if y'all are going to listen to, give us 30 seconds, y'all, to be like, that's a big deal and we did a good job.
Yes. It's a big deal. But you know how I am personally. You know, me and my sister respond to things a lot differently. I'm always like, eh. And she's always like, it's a celebration. We just respond to things differently. So I know 100 is a big deal.
Yes.
Also,
you got to celebrate your wins. Come on now. This
is true. But also, it's not like when I started this thing, I didn't expect to be here. So it's that constant of, it's 100 episodes. I expected to be here. But also, it's 100 episodes. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
You should be very proud. I know I am. That's why I purchased this tiara.
Yeah. No, yes. I'm proud. And I'm thankful that we're way bigger now at our 100th episode, way bigger than we were at the very first episode when we were recording this bad boy on Zoom.
Right.
with the horrible
Remember
mics.
that?
Yes.
Remember just how bad this show was when we first started? God. We didn't even have segments. Like we didn't. We were just talking for an hour, and I was actually a friend of ours that said, "Hey, maybe y'all should think about segments."
Yes.
I was like, "Oh yeah, that's good. Have some sort of order to the show."
Yeah, just some order and rundown. You know, I think it was somewhere around the 20th or 30th episode. Where we actually started doing a rundown, because before it'd be like, what do you want to talk about? Okay, let's talk about this. This would be this segment. This would be this segment. This would be this segment.
Very loose. Very, just very by the seat of our pants. Yes.
Very much. So a lot of people, okay, so we're already answering some of the questions that people sent to us. Like I said, some of y'all went too far with wanting to know certain things.
Now I have to know what those questions were.
Okay, maybe we'll talk about it on the after hours episode, but
about
our dating lives, definitely about our dating lives.
Mm-hmm.
Types, what's our types?
Yeah,
you know, like things like that.
Let me find an answer on that. The answer is I don't have one.
I don't have a type. Bad things is the only thing that I like, which is not true, because I have definitely dated some. Well, dated is a loose term, but definitely, some ugly.
I mean, we've all stepped out of our lane from time to time. Loneliness will get you.
I was telling, I'm not gonna throw my friend under the bus, but I am.
It's your favorite thing to do.
Yeah, I throw people under the bus, but I don't ever name names. And I try to always speak in terms where you don't even know their gender. I always try to use they or them. But I was telling them that, hey, the reason why your dating life is a little jacked up right now is because you're lonely. So you're willing to settle for anything. I was like, I think you need to take a step back, build your esteem back up, because you date your self-esteem.
Yeah.
If your self-esteem is high, your partner is going to be pretty high. Your self-esteem is low, you will settle for a lot of things that you wouldn't normally settle for.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough of
Kenny's shoes.
Say what? Guy wears a Kenny's shoes. All right, let's get to these questions because I went down 14 of them. And that's a lot. So the very first question that I chose to answer, because I thought it was a good one, and we kind of answered it, was how do you get ready for each episode, especially when you're diving into sensitive topics?
So all of our stuff is ripped from the headlines. That we look at what happened that week. You typically create the rundown. You let me know what the topics are and stuff beforehand. You create the rundown. If I have any input or anything, or anything I want to talk about, I let you know. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it depends on, I think there's another question about how deep we get as far as like our research and stuff like that.
That's actually the next question. Well, that's kind of the question, but I think more specifically what this question is asking, or what this listener was asking, is like we talk about stuff that people out there in the world would deem as sensitive topics. They're not sensitive topics for us.
Right.
So that's the reason why we don't really have a hard time getting prepared to talk about these topics. They're not sensitive to us. They're sensitive by and large to the world, because sometimes the world just don't want to address these issues. They don't want to talk about abortion. They don't want to talk about immigration. They don't want to talk about white supremacy and racial discrimination. They don't want to talk about affirmative action, right?
Right.
They don't want to talk about the attack on transgender people. They don't want to talk about the homophobia that still permeates throughout our society. They don't want to talk about that stuff. That's not sensitive stuff to us. That is the world that we live in.
Yeah, you got to understand, talking about me specifically, I'm a Black woman in America. So none of these topics are sensitive to me because they are inextricably linked to my existence in this country. All of these things are part of my lived experience. Racism, sexism, all these things are part of my lived experience. So I'm just talking about my opinion based off my lived experience. And even if we're talking about trans rights or things like that, I mean, you're talking about my friends, you're talking about people that I care about. So nothing is going to be too sensitive for me to talk about when it's talking about the freedom and the justice for the people that I love and for myself.
Or not even people that you love or know, just the freedom and justice of marginalized communities, because we're a marginalized community. And I say all the time that we can't be a marginalized community and not support other marginalized communities. We, at the very least, will not have understanding exactly for everything that they've gone through, but we have a better empathy because we have a greater understanding of what they're going through. And if you recognize somebody else is struggling, like you have struggled, you don't step down or punch down on that person. You extend your hand, you say, come on with me because we're in this together. So I guess, to the listener the listener or watcher that asked this question, we don't deem these topics as sensitive.
That doesn't mean that difficult to talk about it. That doesn't mean that it's not emotionally taxing.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That doesn't mean that it doesn't have some like emotional impact, because it's a thing of like, we've been dealing with the same things since we were brought to these shores. In just different forms.
But slavery was so long ago.
It truly wasn't. And Like my grandparents' parents were born into slavery.
There you go. 4 generations.
Okay, so it's not so long ago that the trauma of it, the generational trauma, the cultural trauma, like all of that stuff, it's not like this it doesn't take a toll. If you're asking like how do we deal with that, we have a great community of people around us that constantly uplift us, and there's marijuana, there's tequila, and
yes, but I was told not to talk about marijuana.
No, you
so
can
much.
talk about marijuana, but it's like you will defame me on the show, and I'm just like, hey, man.
She's talking about me calling her a pothead, but we're not going to focus on that. And I think back to the listener's question, me and my sister are support for each other.
That too.
So emotional support for each other. When loads get too heavy, we're both there to kind of be there. That's part of the dynamic of our relationship. And really it's the dynamic of growing up in our house. All of the siblings are very close. The siblings and the parents are all very close because in a way we all grew up together. Literally, all of us grew up together. So yes, when we deal with sensitive topics and we're talking about emotional stuff, how do we deal with it? One, we don't look at it as sensitive. We do look at it as emotional taxing. And when it is emotional taxing, we are there for each other.
Yeah, that's part of the great thing about having a show with your sibling. Because we can be there for each other. Because I know when stuff is difficult for you to talk about, when things are difficult for me to talk about. And so just part of that dynamic.
Yeah, and it's a look, right? Like we've known each other all our lives. So we most of the time know what the other one is thinking, and there's certain facial characteristics that the other one will pick up on, and we're doing this remotely, but we're looking at each other as we're doing it.
Yeah.
We still step on each other when we're talking sometimes. That just happens.
ADHD.
Right. But there's that connection, even though it's remotely. We're there. Okay. I hope we answered that question because we got a lot more to get to. All right. Can you share how you make sure everyone's voice is heard during these discussions? That's pretty easy. Like if you're talking about the sibling happy hour, I purposely asked my sister to be on because I like hearing her perspective on certain things. She's extremely intelligent, extremely well thought out in what she wants to say and how she wants to convey it. So it's not easy. It's not difficult for me to just step away and let her go. If y'all notice, sometimes I will step away and just let her go on a rant, or I will just say, hey, this one's for you, go. Because that's how we want to foster open discussion. Now, if you're speaking to my interviews, I'm bringing them on to discuss a subject. So it's not hard. I'm literally, I'm asking them questions, and I want to hear their responses. I want to hear their answers. It's a conversation. And the interviews have gotten better from the first ones that I did to the last one I did. They've gotten better. But yeah, no, we want to hear other voices, unique perspectives.
And our ego is not in it. So I think a lot of times when you get these podcasts, a lot of it is people bloviating. They like to hear themselves talk. And that's
I do that.
But that's it. I mean, but like the people that will overtalk that you don't even hear, you barely get 2 words out of their guest, or you barely hear 2 words out of their co-host. That's people with ego in it. Like we're not approaching this with any ego. Like the whole point of the show is that you hear different perspectives, and hopefully in these different perspectives you can figure out what you think about it, or it'll solidify whatever position you already had.
Yeah,
you get something out of it.
The point of this podcast is to learn,
right?
To teach and to learn, right? I will often say that I'm not the smartest person in the room. I'm smarter than most. I know that for a fact. I'm out here in these streets. I'm more intelligent than most. Let me rephrase that. I'm more intelligent than most. But I also know I'm not the most intelligent, and I can recognize that. That's the reason why I don't have an ego. I don't have a problem with admitting that I'm wrong, and I want to hear a different opinion than my own. I might say that different opinion is absolutely freaking stupid, but I still want to hear it and hear the person out and hear what they have to say. So that's not difficult for me. And my sister's right. There's no ego tripping on here. I will get on my soapbox. I absolutely will get on my soapbox. But the reason why I get on my soapbox, the reason why is because I feel like the answer to the question, you already have it. You're just denying it. So when I get on my soapbox and I talk about abortion rights, you got the answers to the question already. You refuse to answer the question properly. Mm-hmm. So I get on my soapbox and I'm like, yo, okay, just look at this logically. Mm-hmm. What you're thinking is not right.
Right.
And this is the reason why your thinking isn't right. And do I come off as pompous sometimes? Yep. Because I am. I am a little pompous sometimes because I know I'm right. And I feel like because I know I'm right, when I get on my soapbox, I know I'm right.
You're not helping my no ego.
No. Hold on now. What did I start out by saying? I started out by saying I'm a person that can admit when they're wrong. Mm-hmm. But when I get on my soapbox, I absolutely know that I'm right about that. I don't do the soapbox too often.
You don't.
I don't do it during the interviews. I typically only do it.
What? Passionate about your position. I just wouldn't say, I don't know that I would commit to saying I know I'm 100% right about this topic.
See, this
that's a you can call me non-committal, but that feels like
all right. And this is another reason why my sister's on the show, to bring me down a peg or two. That's right. I didn't quite say what I wanted to say properly. I feel strongly that I am right. Yeah. But I am always open to listening to opposing viewpoints.
Yeah.
But every now and then I get on my soapbox.
You will give people the benefit of the doubt of at least hearing them out.
Yeah, you say that's one of my flaws. I give people too much benefit of the doubt.
I think you do give people too much. Because you know me, I'm not gonna put up the emotional labor when I know and you know that Google is free. Like, don't.
Yeah, I know.
Don't.
Sometimes people don't know where to go. Right? They don't know the direct. Well, Google can send you so many different ways, right? Like Google is a large, vast research engine. But you know this as a researcher, if you're developing a paper or a thesis, it's a specific point. You need a starting point. You can't just walk into preparing that research blindly. So you need a starting point. And sometimes we have to be the people, and sometimes other people have to be the people for us to give us the starting point. Then it's up for us and it's up to them when you get that starting point to go do the work. But sometimes people just need a launch pad.
I guess if people are being genuine in like their curiosity, I will go into whatever diatribe I end up, or whatever rabbit hole I end up falling down. But I think it's like the disingenuous questions of like, well, what about black on black crime? Like, I'm not going to answer that again.
Well, I'm not going to do it again. People love, what about Chicago? And I'm going to tell you this. If you walk up to me and say, what about Chicago? I'm getting to that point in my life at my age where I have little patience for that. I might smack you in your mouth. I don't want to. I don't want to go to jail. But I might smack you in the mouth for saying, what about Chicago? Especially
the argument. I don't want to get too deep into Chicago, but especially the argument of like, we're not focusing on it, or we don't care. There are dozens of organizations,
so many
Black-led organizations, boots on the ground doing work daily in vulnerable areas.
All the time.
And the fact that you don't know that means it's like, you can't even engage me in this conversation. Like, knock it off.
This is true.
But
this is true.
Yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Yeah. Hey, we hope it answered the question.
I forgot what the question was.
The question was, how do we make sure that all voices are heard during these
yeah.
discussions?
Yeah, that's the point of the show, and also taking our ego out of it.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. And my sister, anytime I do get a big ego, she will definitely check me. All right. The next question. What was the toughest episode to record? I had to really think about this.
Mm-hmm.
And if I believe it was the first.
Yeah, because we just did not know what we were doing.
Didn't know what we were doing. And
we knew we had something. We knew we had something. Just like
right.
as siblings in our chemistry and stuff like that. Like we knew we had something and we knew we had something to say. But it's like, okay, well, how do we do that? How do we actually have a show?
So,
how do we actually do it?
The genesis of the show was this. I've told it before. All the way back in 2003, I did an internet radio show that my co-partners for my professional wrestling company was doing, came on the show, went back to my brother and sister, said, we should do that because we would be good at it. That was in 2003. Finally, in 2002, after the entire pandemic, was when we probably should have started this podcast.
2020, not 2002.
Yeah, 2020 is when we probably should have started the podcast. But in 2022 is when we started it. And I just woke up one morning. I think I saw an ad for a podcast kit on Amazon, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how basic our equipment was. I just bought it.
I already had the equipment.
Yeah, she already had the equipment. I didn't. I just bought it because I said, once I have it, I've got no choice but to start it.
Mm-hmm.
I told Jay, I said, Jay, I got it. Let's start it. She's like, how are we going to do it? I was like, I don't know. We're recorded on Zoom and I will figure it out. I did a little bit of research about post-production stuff and just started it. And that first podcast was the hardest because we did a test run that we basically had to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
We just basically had to get rid of. Not the lost episode that was later used. There's a whole episode that we just deleted because we got 30 minutes into it and we misspoke on a subject. You remember that?
No.
We misspoke on a subject. We said that we are not something and said it wrong. That's how long ago.
Yeah. Okay, I think I remember.
It was the very first episode and we were like 20 or 30 minutes in and we said something and it was like, whoa, wait a minute, hold up. That is not what we meant to say. And we cut it. We deleted the whole thing. I was like, I don't even know if I could edit that out because I didn't know how to edit that.
Yeah.
So to me, that was the toughest episode because there was I think I had a couple of subjects that we were going to talk about, but there was no rhyme or reason. There was no intro music. There was no segment breaks. It was just talking. But I knew once we did it, I'll figure out how to make it better later. Just got to do it.
Yeah.
So that's my advice to anybody. That wasn't one of the questions that was asked. But my advice is if you want to start something, don't try to perfect it before starting it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Continuously get better.
Regardless of how expensive your equipment is or how much time you spend on it or what programs you buy, this, that, and the third, the first show's gonna suck. The first 10 shows will probably suck. Like, just record them.
And
whatever it is, like, just do it. Just take that first picture, take that first step, take that, do that first interview, whatever it is that you do, draw that first picture, whatever it is that you do, just take the first step. And then next thing you know, you want to take another step and another and another. And next thing you know, you're running.
Yeah. And next thing you know, you're on your 100th episode.
That part.
And we've been doing this show now for 14 months.
Mm-hmm.
Because we started, the first show was November of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you just get going and then it gets better along the way if you put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
This next question it kind of leads into that. It was, how does your personal life shape show content? Well, you kind of already touched on it. We live it. If we don't live it, we know we're somehow connected to it because of friends or family. and we want to learn more about it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you can't go to your friends and family specifically to ask them certain questions because the dynamic of a relationship, maybe they don't want to talk about it. Maybe they're tired of talking about it.
Yeah.
And so you bring on individuals that you interview or you research it to talk about it because you want to learn more.
Yeah.
So that's how my personal life shapes the show. How does yours?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. It's we're gonna talk about things that feel meaningful to us, even if it's just like pop culture stuff. You know, there's a reason that we talk about everything that we've ever talked about on the show. That we have either some sort of we have some sort of personal connection to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's meaningful for us. And these are topics that we're passionate about. And these are topics that we think you'd want to know about, and we're hoping to foster dialogue with the people who listen, that they talk about it with their friends and family. And even if we're not on the same side of the argument like that, or the, you know, the issue, I don't know that matters 100%. It's just like, are we talking about it? Are we moving the needle in some way? So I think my whole motivation for this is to move the needle in some sort of positive direction, to have some sort of impact in some kind of way. Even just a regular bum like me, like, still has something that I think could be worthwhile for people to listen to. So it's a personal connection to everything that we talk about.
Yeah. So staying with personal,
Mm-hmm.
the next question is, how do you balance personal life with podcasting?
We're pretty strict with our schedule.
Yeah. I think the question is really asking us is, how does podcasting affect our personal life and vice versa?
I don't
So
really
for
think it does.
me,
Yeah.
it definitely does for me.
Okay.
And I will say this, not to make this about me, because this is the sibling happy hour. We do this show together.
Yeah.
But my sister said it at the top of the hour, not the hour. Jeez, what do I think? I'm on radio or something?
Right.
At the top of the show.
Of the hour, we have the news. Danny, what's the weather doing out there?
I say the internet radio show, not real radio. As my sister pointed out, I do the post-production. I do the producing of the show. When I started this, I have a full-time job.
Yeah.
This is not I have a real full-time job.
Yeah,
that
we
takes
both
up
do.
a lot. Yes, we both.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. Yes,
yeah.
We both do. We both have a full-time job. Now, my sister, when she agreed to do this, did not realize how much time outside of actually filming this show actually takes.
Let me be honest. I think 14 months later we'd still be doing this and be on the 100th episode? No. I was like, revealed. I was like, I'll do this, you know, for a little bit, and then it'll sort of like taper off, and then I won't have to. Because I think if I were to go back, of course I would still do the show, but I'd be like, every week.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I require an hour and a half of recording time of my sister every week. That's it.
It goes over.
It goes over because of you, not because of me.
No,
sometimes you get it going.
You are very talkative.
We both are. Stop! Don't throw that under. Don't throw me under the bus like that.
I'm gonna throw you under the bus. You talk too much.
All right. Well, so do you. You talk too much, and you never shut up. No, but for me, my personal life, I do the post-production. Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all follow us on all the social media and the YouTube and all of that, all those clips and everything, we don't have a staff. I do that.
Right.
That is me. And that
we
is
don't have a staff yet. Manifest that. We don't have a staff yet.
Even when we do have a staff, I'll be looking over their shoulder.
Don't micromanage.
That's who I am.
Let it go.
I'm not like staff. Directly over their shoulder.
No, yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
And you're too tall for that.
But part of it I enjoy. Part of it I really enjoy doing the editing. All right,
Yeah.
time out. I don't enjoy doing the editing of the show anymore. I do enjoy doing the editing for the clips. That I do enjoy. But the show, doing the editing for the show, that is very time consuming. So to answer your question, how has this affected my personal life? I now have 2 full-time jobs. I don't regret it. This is what I chose to do, and I actually really enjoy it and love it.
Right. Nobody's putting a gun to our head. Like,
No.
we're choosing to do this. Yeah.
But it does affect my personal life. Because people will be like, hey man, why don't you want to come out and hang that? I got some shows to edit, or I got to do this interview, or no, I can't do that. And yeah, because I have 2 full-time jobs. But I didn't know it was going to be this time consuming. I don't regret it. Not at all. Now, what's surprising to me is you saying that you thought that this wasn't going to last that long.
I thought you would get bored with it.
You don't know your brother. You don't know your brother. When have I ever said I'm going to do something and not follow through with it?
Yeah, I was projecting. That's me. I do that. No, I do think, but I get hyper focused on stuff, and then the novelty wears off, and then it tapers off. As far as how do I handle my personal life with the podcast commitments? Yeah. I mean, sometimes Thursday nights I want to chill.
Yeah.
And I get off work and I'm just like, I got to do my research and stuff for the show, or, things like that, or got to record the show. So yeah, sometimes, I'm tired. I don't want to do it, but it doesn't.
And we have to start later. We start recording after 7:30 because I'm still working until 7 with my regular day job. I'm still working until 7:00 at night on Thursdays.
Yeah.
So
which means you're up even later because you got to edit the show so that I can go out the next day.
And then I'm supposed to take Fridays off, but the last couple of months I've been working Fridays. So it's like I'm up late doing the post-production so that the show is released on time on Friday. And then I have to work on Friday. So, but that sounds like I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. You asked me how does it affect my personal life. I'm giving you the answer. The answer is I be working. I'm tired. Yeah. If y'all haven't noticed, if y'all watch on the video, I'm starting to develop bags under my eyes. I didn't have that at the beginning. I didn't have it. I'm starting to get wrinkles on my forehead. I didn't have it in the original episodes. The forehead used to be smooth. Now it's like I got like Dwayne Johnson wrinkles on my forehead. I don't know where the hell that came from. All right. And if you're watching, my face got a little bit fatter. My sister is losing weight. I'm gaining weight. That's all about to change because I'm back on my diet for the new year. But I'm just saying.
Are you keto again?
I'm going back starting next week. Because I already started off bad this week. So I said, this is going to be the last week. And then no more chips from Sunday to April 1st. No more chips.
Yeah, I gave up sweets and Uber Eats. I like that it rhymes. But like, so you have to understand, like, even for before the surgery, I went 0 sugar. So I had not had sugar. And then when I took my sabbatical, I said, I want to do whatever I want. I want to eat some candy or something. And so I got some candy and it was like crack, because I hadn't had sugar in so long. And so now I have to kick my sugar habit. And it's hard because I really want a slice of cake right now.
Sugar is absolutely addictive. I don't know. I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly. And somebody in the YouTube comments will absolutely correct me. I love the YouTube comment community. That was me being sarcastic. I do love some of y'all. Some of y'all do not. I believe I saw a study a few years back where they studied sugar and cocaine on the effect of mice, and it had very similar effects. Very, very, like sugar is addictive.
No, that's absolutely correct. It does have the same effect on the body as hard drugs.
This is what I learned when I went keto all the way back in 2019. How much food actually has sugar in it. Yeah. And it's not said on the label, right? A lot of times people won't recognize it in a label, but anytime there's a complex carb, there's sugar involved with it. So the nutritionist of me is about to come out. What is a complex carb? Complex carbs are your breads, your grains, your pastas, your things, your potatoes, your things of that nature.
Yeah.
All that stuff has sugar in it. So when you think they're like, I'm cutting out sugar, no, you're not. No, you're not.
All that stuff breaks down and turns into what? Sugar.
Well, glucose, but
yeah, that's sugar.
Yes,
it's sugar.
Technically scientific.
If it has ose at the end, sucrose, fructose, glucose, it's a sugar.
Well, sucrose, I think, is a sweetener. I don't think necessarily it's a sugar.
I think sucrose is sugar.
All right, we're about to get off topic. ADHD.
We're not going to do that.
We're not going to do that. We're going to go back to your questions after this quick break. Hey there, podcast listeners. It's Bruce Anthony here, and welcome to another. But it doesn't stop there. Liquid IV believes that access to clean and abundant water is the foundation of a healthier world. That's why they partner with leading organizations finding innovative solutions. Perspectives. All right, so my sister did a little research, and what'd you find out, Jay?
Sucrose is the chemical name for table sugar. It is actually sugar. You're like, I think it's just a sweetener.
Yeah, no, so I was absolutely wrong. See, ladies and gentlemen, check my ego right there.
Right.
But that's enough of us detouring. Let's get back to your questions. Any instances where your life experiences played a big role in shaping a podcast episode, specifically us? I can't off the top of my head think of anything personally. I mean, I talk about my personal life when I just do the show all by myself. I tell everybody about, crazy dating stories. But I don't remember there being a specific instance where I was like, okay, I got to talk about this on the show, unless I'm throwing people's confidences that they tell me, personal stories. And I just say, a friend told me this, a friend told me that.
Yeah.
But for you, when you had your surgery, okay, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I'm absolutely messy. I love when people tell me gossip. I love gossip.
Yeah.
I'm not messy in my personal life.
Right. But
I'll be in everybody else's mess.
You will not share, but you will definitely consume.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I ain't sharing. This is my one cuss word. I ain't sharing shit.
Right.
Well, not true. I talked about crypto after 3 months.
Yes.
I did talk about crypto. And this is something, okay. It didn't happen right at that time. Mm-hmm. Right? It happened 3 months earlier. But if you watch the episode, you can absolutely tell I got emotional and I had to cut it.
Yeah.
Because there's a cut. There's a cut, and you see the eyes. They real, they little bloodshot.
Yeah.
Because brother had to, stop and cry a little bit. We're not going to, matter of fact, let's switch the subject right now.
Well,
so let's go to you.
You had a whole episode where you let people see a deeper look into who you are. I think.
Oh, the 50th episode.
I think the way in which your life experience shaped that episode is that typically you are not an open book like that. Yeah, and it was you stepping out of your comfort zone. Whereas like me, everybody, if anybody has been listening to the show from the beginning, y'all know I struggle with anxiety and depression. I struggle with ADHD. When I got the ADHD diagnosis, I told everybody about that. Y'all know about my weight loss journey, and I had bariatric surgery. Like, I wouldn't say I'm an open book, but I would say the way in which my life experience shaped the way I present on the show, not necessarily show topics, is that I know what it's like to feel like you're alone in whatever issues you're in, like whether it's anxiety, depression, whatever it is. I had an eating disorder when I was a teenager, like whatever it is, there are times where you feel like you're alone. And not only that, there was such a stigma attached, particularly to mental health. So when I'm more vocal about it, it's because I want to normalize people talking about it.
Yeah.
Like we all struggle with our mental health is like our physical health, is like our emotional health, it's like our spiritual health. we all have times we're feeling up and times we're feeling down.
Mm-hmm.
That's universal for everybody. Everybody has had a moment, or maybe it's chronic, where you have struggled with your mental health. I know a lot of particularly women, particularly Black women, are getting ADHD and autism diagnoses in their 30s and 40s because they spent their entire life masking and didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So when I talk about these things, talk about my life experience or things that I'm going through, how I present on the show is to normalize the discussion of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that people don't feel as afraid when somebody asks you, yeah, how are you doing? I'm like, hey, this week was a tough week, but I'm feeling better. Like, it's okay. You don't have to say I'm fine if you're not fine. So that's what I wanted to get across in the way that I present on the show.
And I think that's so important because that's exactly what I try to do as well. Well, kind of, sort of. I'm not as open as you are. I will say openly that I suffer from anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I come from the generation 90s hip hop where you can't be soft.
Yeah.
Got to be hard all the time. And I'm like, who wants to do that all the time, man? That's the reason why so many people, so many men are dying of heart attacks and strokes. We holding it all in instead of talking about it.
Right.
I have two. My bestie, I don't ever have to say that. I don't ever have to do that with because she's a female. Not to say that men and females are different. Hold on, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Men and females are different when it comes to dealing with emotions. Women are, by and large, generally speaking, are a lot more vocal in expressing their emotions than men are. I said by and large, generally speaking. I put all types of caveats on that.
No, but I mean, it's not something that's inherent. Like it's a societal construct. It's what we're allowed to do.
You're absolutely right. Yes.
By society, men are not allowed to express the full breadth of their emotions because that's somehow an attack on their masculinity, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Right. We're taught as young children. Little girls can cry. Little boys can't cry.
Right.
So I never have a problem telling my bestie, because she's a female, I love you. Like, we never have a problem going back and forth with that. My two other best guy friends, one of them never have a problem with saying, I love you. Hey, love you, brother. Love you too. The other one, we know he does.
Right.
And you know who I'm talking. I'm talking to you. We know you love us.
Yeah.
And it just happened, I think, on New Year's or Christmas. We send it back, Merry Christmas or Happy New Year's, guys. I love you. Hey, the other one was like, hey, man, love you too. And another friend was like, Happy New Year. And I was like, just tell us you love us, dude. Like, I know you do. But he comes from that old school. It's just like men are men. And it's just like, nah, man, like and it's like, well, I don't have those type of emotions. Yeah, you do. You just suppressing it. You got them. You got them. And you suppress it and it comes out as anger. Not saying him in particular, but I'm just saying by and large, you suppress emotions. It comes out in anger. So if you're an angry person that's got a quick temper.
Because you resent other people who are able to express their emotions. That's where it comes. That's where it comes from. Like, whenever you see somebody and all they can express is rage, it's twofold. It's one, that's the only thing that they were taught that they could express was joy and rage, and that's it. And also, it's a resentment of people living authentically.
Whew. You just dropped a bar there.
Yeah.
Just dropped the bar. Let's go to the next question. And this one, all right. So people, like I said, people asked about relationships and dating and stuff like that. This was the closest one to one of these questions that I was like, all right, we'll answer this one. How is doing the show, or has doing the show had any impact on your personal relationships?
No.
Okay, none for you?
Well, I think it's opened up conversations with people that I might not have normally had because they listen to the show and they think something that I said was interesting, or they don't agree, or they do agree, or whatever. So I think it's opened up dialogues with people that ordinarily I'd be like, I didn't even know you thought about that stuff. Yeah, well, hell yeah, we could talk about it. Like, you know, what's up? It's so funny. I have a nephew, one of my friend's sons, and he will hit me up when he comes across, you know, some social justice issue and he doesn't quite understand what the problem is, or he's trying to wrap his mind around it. He's like, I just want to get your thoughts on this, auntie. And we'll sit and we'll have a whole, you know, conversation about it and try to get him to develop his own, you know, thought process. I don't, I'll give him my opinion, but I don't like to lead him to an answer. I'll be like, you know, what do you think about this? Or have you thought about it like this? So yeah, it's definitely, but if you if as far as like any kind of like negative impacts, nah, not really. Except for the people who want to come on the show and we'd be like, nah.
Yeah, there's so there's that, right?
Yeah.
Like there's some people it's like, well, why don't you like come on the show? I'm like, what are we going to talk about?
Right.
Well, you know, we can just. I'm like, nah, okay. Nah. So you just want to be on the show to be on the show for what? I don't think people really understand what it's like to do a show, right? You think that you can just get up. People just think that they could just get up and start talking, but there cannot be dead air.
No,
there can't be 3 to 5 seconds of silence.
Right.
Unless, you know, unless it's like you're laughing or something like that. But when you're having speech and your conversations with people, you can't have a 5-second lapse of nothingness. You automatically lose the listener or the watcher.
Right.
So people could come on here thinking that they have something to say, not really be able to articulate it expansively, right? And they're like, oh, I said everything I need to say in 5 minutes. Well, we got another 45 to 55 minutes left.
It's not easy to fill an hour.
No, it's not. Well, it is for us because we can talk.
It is for us because ADHD and we can talk. But it's not easy to fill an hour. So
no, it's not.
A lot of times people are like, I feel really strongly about this. I want to talk about it. Great. Let me hear what you say. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. Right. Well, that's it? Yeah. Okay, well
how did they respond again when you said that's it?
Yeah. Like, okay, but that was about 45 seconds.
Right.
You said all you needed to say in 45 seconds.
A segment is 15 to 20 minutes.
Yes.
One segment.
That's not enough. Like, no.
So that's funny.
On the show.
Yeah, I've told a lot of people no.
Yeah.
I've told a lot of people no. I don't. And they've gotten offended, and I'm just like, and I'm really not gentle with it. In my older age, I'm really not gentle. I'm very blunt and direct. Like,
I was actually really proud of you that one time.
Where you was I know like, you were.
It's a no now and it's a no tomorrow. And I was like, you know what? I like that.
You didn't know that I stand on business when it comes to business.
I
don't stand on business in personal life, but I stand on business when it comes to business.
I never had that chance to see that side of you. And I was like, the respect for you, it just went even higher.
Okay, I was glad you said even higher because I was about to be like, I gave some respect for you.
I obviously respect you. You're my older brother.
All right, so for me, this is the funny thing. I have friends that listen to the show that whether they realize it or not, in the time that they're talking to me, is giving me content.
Yeah.
Because I will often go on a side tangent of my friend or this person that I know and this and that. A few of my friends have said, I'm not telling you nothing else no more. I was like, why? Because you was talking about it on the show. I was like, they don't know that I was talking about you. I didn't say your name. I didn't even say the gender of the person. Most of the time, I don't even say the gender of the person. It was just like, I got to be careful what I say around you. I was like, I didn't. I told your business, but nobody knows it's your business.
Right.
Right. And the few people that I have had on to tell their business, one person, Allie, did not want me to give her real name. She wanted to talk about the time that she was on the metro and she was drunk and then I drove her home. And I was like, you don't have to show your face or anything. We don't have to give you a real name. And I had another friend on when I was giving relationship advice to, and I was like, "You don't like the way you look right now? That's okay. You don't have to be on video.
Right.
Can I use your name like that? Like I protect people. I
Yeah.
protect my sources. Okay. I did start in journalism for a little bit, so I will protect my sources.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that's how personal relationships. People be like, I don't want to tell you this because you're gonna put it on the show. And I tell them, odds are, yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's gotten to the point where people tell me something. It's like, I'm gonna be real honest with you. I'm gonna talk about this on my show.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is too good. I'm gonna talk about this on my show. Like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like, just to let you know.
Just to let
That's
you
how,
know, if you
just to let
listen
you know.
in, something's gonna
It's
sound real familiar.
real familiar.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question, we kind of already answered this, but I think we can get in a little bit more detail about it. What are our personal habits or rituals that help us get ready for the show?
We do spend a few minutes chatting before you actually hit record, just to kind of catch up a little bit, get in the zone.
That's evolved over time, right?
Yeah.
Because it used to be talking about, all right, how the show was going to go. And then recently, recently over the last couple of months, I've cut that out. And I
Yeah.
said, sometimes it feels like to me, because my sister and I have different outlooks on life.
Mm-hmm.
She's always thinking, that's good. And I'm always thinking, that could be better. That wasn't that good. So I was thinking that we weren't starting off right. And so I said, hey, I think we should just chit chat. Don't even talk about the show. Just
Yeah.
chit chat before we get started
Yeah.
so that we're already laughing and joking so that when we hit the ground running, we have that energy. Where I thought some of the shows took a little while to start picking up on energy. That's the reason why we always start with dilly daddling.
Yeah.
Because dilly daddling
But that's new. But that is like
that happened kind of like in the middle, like in around the 50th episodes
and
that we started doing that.
It really happened organically too. I think we just opened a show where we were just talking about nothing, and it was like, yeah, it's actually good for the first segment. All right, let's just go. Let's go with it. We got a positive response, so we were like, all right, we'll just go with it. Everybody knows Bruce. It's a sibling happy hour, so there's gonna be a cocktail. That's another.
Sometimes I don't have cocktails all the time.
We always got a little something to drink, something, whatever.
I'm not always drinking on every episode.
And I'm not always smoking on every episode.
Well, we've had a conversation about the smoking before we start doing the episodes.
Right. So
that was a ritual that we had to get rid of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was editing the shows. I was like, Jay, you said 17 words in an hour and 30 minutes.
I still do not think that that's true. I think I was speaking.
I got the transcript. I got the transcripts where it says my name in the words and your name in the words. And there was one episode where you were high and I spoke for 80% of the episode.
Anyway, another one of my rituals is setting up my room. Like my room, the background behind me. I don't know what's going on with the light on my TV right now. I don't know.
I think that's kind of dope though. It should be flashing.
It's usually just blue. So I don't know what's going on with that right now. But just, my room doesn't look like this ordinarily. So like the whole process of setting my room up, it just helps me get in the zone. It's just another one. I didn't even think about that as a ritual. And then, what up, sis? What up, brother? Like that's greeting. That's part of the show, but we didn't even realize that was a thing until a viewer pointed that out.
He was like, y'all always say that. Is that your catchphrase? And I was like, what? And then I was going back. I was like, we do always say that.
Yeah.
And that's not something that I got to practice. That's literally
how we greet each other.
Yeah. How we greet each other.
Yeah.
So for me, my personal rituals are making sure everything is set up, making sure that I have my rundown sheet in front of me. And doing my throat exercises. So that's a new thing, doing throat exercises, because I notice, I get dry mouth real quick. I start smacking and or I get nasally.
And listen, we got these pop screens on our mics and everything, but it still pick up every little pop. Everything. It still picks everything. It up. Yes.
People be like, why you got that big thing? It's because y'all don't understand. I be popping a lot when I talk. Okay.
Yeah.
I be popping a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
We
And
got
I
to pick
thought
up
this
the
was
pace. We've almost been at this for an hour. We got to pick up
but I knew this show. I knew this show was going to be longer than our normal hour. I told you that's the reason why we're not filming after hours right after this. I said this show was probably going to be about an hour and a half.
Damn.
I said that before. Well, no, let's be real. A lot of our shows in that 100 span episode, Sibling Happy Hours, was close to an hour and a half. So
they run long.
Yeah, they run long. This is 100th episode.
An hour. Yeah,
we try to, but hey, look, it's the 100th episode, right?
Yeah.
We giving y'all what we giving y'all because we trying to give y'all what y'all want.
Right.
Hey, I think that should be a slogan.
No.
We giving y'all what y'all giving you. What we giving y'all because we think.
Not everything. You already forgot it, first of all, but not everything needs to be a slogan.
I did forget it already. Wait, we give you what we give you because we give you what you want. I don't know.
No, you already forgot it.
It sounded smooth the first time I said it, though.
All right.
I hate your guts. That's another thing. I hate my sister's guts, if y'all didn't know.
Well, that answers the next question.
Yeah, because what's the most Jesus, it'd be better if I could actually speak. What's the most significant thing y'all just
pay pretty.
People might not get that.
All right. If you know old Eddie Murphy Saturday Night Live, you'll get it.
Yeah. I would love to get out this question.
Go
I've been
ahead.
interrupted 3 times. I'm trying to. Can I get it out now?
I'm not stopping you.
You literally are stopping me. That's exactly the reason why I haven't been able to do it. All right. What's the most significant thing you discovered about each other?
That you hate my guts.
No, come on now.
No.
I don't hate your guts.
No, we tell each other we hate each other's guts constantly. It means we love each other.
It's a term of endearment.
That we actually have more in common as far as our views on different issues than I thought we would. Like a lot of times you'll come with stuff and you'll be like, you'll probably disagree. And then you'll say something and I'll be like, no, I actually agree with that.
I think that's happened like 3 times.
No, I think that's happened more than 3. I think when we talk about stuff, there have been times, and I remember these instances where you'll say something or I'll say something and the other will disagree. Like that.
Oh, yeah.
That has definitely happened. But I think whenever we bring up topics or things to talk about, typically you and I agree more often than we don't. And that was surprising to me because I thought for sure I'd be like, oh boy, I'm going to have to rein him in.
Yeah, you know why you thought that?
Because you used to be a male chauvinist.
Absolutely. I will not shy away from that, from the man that I used to be. I was a male chauvinist, cheater, selfish, self-absorbed human being. Now, I'm no longer a cheater. I'm trying not to be a male chauvinist. I think I've come a long way from that.
You definitely have.
Am I still self-absorbed? Sometimes. I mean, I think all of us are a little self-absorbed sometimes.
Yeah, that's a natural human condition, is to care about yourself.
I do not believe that I'm selfish anymore. I don't believe I'm selfish anymore.
If you like to do what you want to do, even if other people don't want to do it.
Okay.
You want to watch the movie you want to watch.
Hold on. All right. It was only that one time.
Everybody in the room is already watching Jack Reacher and enjoying it.
Okay. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, my dad was showing off. He's got a media room. And when I say media room, it's a movie theater. And when I say movie theater, it's a legit movie theater in his home.
This is America. A lot of people have those.
Yeah, this is not, well, no, I don't. You know anybody else that personally got a movie theater in their home?
Yeah, one of my friends does.
A movie theater like Dad's?
Yes, pretty close. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, okay. Hey, look.
I think a lot of people are putting them in the. You got that extra little room, and you a lot of people are putting them in their house.
He doesn't have an extra little room.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's neither here nor there.
So
we
my dad's
were
got this.
Watching Jack Reacher.
Okay,
and
and
we
not
were
the good Jack
enjoying
Reacher.
it.
Not the TV series, which I think is really good. The Tom Cruise Jack Reacher, which also is pretty good.
Yeah,
Jack
we
Reacher is
were
pretty
all
good.
enjoying it. Everyone in the room was enjoying it, but you had to see Superman or something.
I just wanted to see what Superman looked like with all the super surround sound and big movie theater atmosphere. I wanted to see what it looked like.
Do it on your own time.
How am I going to do it on my own time when it's at Dad's house?
That's for you to figure out. But we were watching Jack Reacher, and you just had to do what you wanted to do, and you broke the damn system.
All right. No, I didn't break the system.
You did break it.
It stopped working after I started messing with it.
Breaking
it. It was temporarily inoperable.
Yeah.
Temporarily.
Yeah.
Just for a short period of time.
That's called broken. It became operable when the technician came out. It made it operable again.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all don't understand. I thought I broke my dad's media room, movie theater. I was like, I don't know how much it's going to cost, but I know whatever it costs, I ain't got it. I was like, I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. It basically ruined the evening.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're okay. All right. I'm not as selfish as I used to be. Can I say that?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Because did I show any selfish nature when I was down there to visit?
No, we had a good time.
Good time. You know what I'm saying? All right. The last question. Okay. It's a two-parter. Mm-hmm. Do you have any memorable fan interactions? And what achievements are you proudest of since the podcast began?
I did. So I was at a birthday party, and one of the guests, I had met her like once before that, but only in passing. And she's a friend of a friend. And she came up to me and she said, "You and your brother are so funny." And I thought she was talking about our other brother. And I was like, but I was still confused. I was like, what? Because he wasn't there at the party. And so I was like, what? Mm-hmm. And she was like, the podcast. And it took me so long to register what was actually happening. I was like, wait. You listen? And then you you came up to me to like tell me like you listen, like you're our audience. Like it was so shocking to me. Like it was the first time typically that doesn't happen to regular people. It just doesn't happen that people come up to you and be like, "Hey, I just love what you're doing." Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it was awesome. And my proudest achievement are our YouTube followers.
Yeah.
Our YouTube followers. Yeah. Because we did not project the numbers that we projected as far as like getting subscribers much lower than where we ended 2023. Like it exceeded both of our expectations.
We surpassed 1750. Mm-hmm. So we surpassed 1,750 people or subscribers on YouTube. And we were hoping to get 500 by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So that is a really something I'm really proud of. I'm also really proud of just the audio version. Even before the YouTube took off, the audio version was being heard all over the world.
Yeah.
Like all throughout North America, Central America, South America, y'all need to pick it up. But Europe and in certain parts in Africa. And I was just like, wow, like one, how are they finding us? And two, thank you for finding us. And it wouldn't be one-offs. It would be consistent.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. So I guess that's what I'm proudest of. I'm proudest of, y'all really, you like us. You really like us.
Another thing is we went kind of viral on Instagram.
Times.
That one video on Instagram that
it's almost at 70,000.
Yeah, views, over 5,000 comments. You're getting somewhere when they start to have a fight in your comments.
That was funny when they not arguing with us.
No
commenters in the Instagram posts are arguing with each other over their comments.
And it's like, we made it. We made it.
Something like it. Something like it.
When they start fighting each other, that's when you know you made it.
Yeah. No, that was really proud. Have I had any fan interactions? Not I guess in person.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that I didn't realize that are somehow connected to me, that listen to the show regularly, that will come up to me and be like, I really enjoyed this, I really enjoyed that. And I know I disappoint some of them because they want to have a conversation with me about whatever it was I was speaking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you have to remind me, because I do these shows, and as soon as I cut them off and edit them, everything that was said was gone.
Yeah.
Right. The only time I get remembered about what happened on what episode is the clips. Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember us talking about that. But sometimes people bring up stuff and I'm just like, I'm sorry to be a disappointment. I don't really know what episode you're talking about.
Yeah.
But if you can refresh my memory, maybe I remember.
Yeah.
That's been cool. Really, it's been a few commenters on the YouTube that have just been consistent watchers, and will comment, and their comments aren't vague comments. They genuinely watch the entire episode, and they have comments or questions, or they want to hear our viewpoints or certain things. And I'm like, that's really dope.
Yeah.
And like I even encourage the haters, you know, when they make comments, it's like, hey, you watching, you hate watching, but you watching. So, you know, so I guess that
thanks for the views.
Thanks for the views. So that's the fan interactions and what I'm most proudest of.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the questions, but that's not the end of the episode, because something happened this week that we need to talk about.
Let's talk about it.
And it's the Katt Williams interview, and we're going to get into that next. All right, Jay, like we said, something funny happened this week. Club Shay Shay is a podcast that is done by Shannon Sharpe. He should be most known for being one of the greatest tight ends to ever play the game. I think he's a 3-time Super Bowl winner, TV personality, and he has a podcast that he does, Club Shay Shay, doing very good work on his podcast. Recently, this week, had Katt Williams, the comedian, on his show. If y'all don't know who Katt Williams is, he was Money Mike off of Next Friday, Bobby Shaw on My Wife and Kids, Joe the Policeman in the What's Going Down episode of That's My Mama.
No.
Excuse me, that was Randy Watson. Excuse me. But very, he's been in the comedy game for a very long time, has a whole bunch of specials. He recently went on Shannon Sharpe's podcast, Club Shay Shay, and literally just went loose.
Unloaded.
He unloaded. And what I will say, and I've listened to or watched the majority of the podcast, about 85% of it, he told some lies and he told some truths.
Yeah. I watched the whole thing. Bit of all of it. I watched the whole thing on like between 1.5 and 2 times the speed. So it made it seem even more unhinged. I highly recommend, even if you've already seen it, watch it again on 2 times speed. It's even funnier. But yeah, it was a mix of truth and lies. You could take it with a grain of salt. But there were a few comedians, Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Ricky Smiley, who were on Shannon's show. They said some things that Katt did not agree with. And so he took that opportunity.
Right. And so that's what I said to one of my friends. One of my friends said, I don't know why he did this. You know, it's crabs in a barrel. And I said, no. These were people that were on Shannon Sharpe's podcast that said things. He's responding. You are well within your rights when somebody says something about you that you don't necessarily agree with, to be able to defend yourself.
Yeah, just because
essentially what he did.
Just because he ethered them doesn't mean that it came out of nowhere.
Right. it came from somewhere.
It was a response to things that were said that involved him, or like involved people that he respected, such as Bernie Mac.
Right. And like I said, there was a lot of truth in what he had to say. Now, did he read 3,000 books a year and run a 4.340? No.
Was he accepted to college at age 7? Listen.
No.
Probably not.
No. Okay.
Probably
was Steve
not.
Harvey wearing a wig?
Yes. We all knew that.
That is absolutely true.
We all knew
Ricky Smiley a really, really talented comedian?
No.
Is he a really, really talented actor? No.
No. He's not. Is Katt Williams 5'5"? No, he is not.
Yes, he is.
He said that, and then he said Kevin Hart was 5'2". He is not 3 inches taller than Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart isn't 5'2". I've met Kevin Hart. I have not met Katt Williams. I've met Kevin Hart. I've stood next to him, shook hands, dapped him up. He is a short man.
Yeah.
He's probably around 5'4". He's not 5'2". But 5'4" sounds about right.
I don't know that I believe that Katt Williams is 5'5", but that's...
Did Cedric the Entertainer steal his joke? Now, I've watched the side-by-side comparisons, and they are similar. I don't think Cedric the Entertainer actually stole his joke.
Are they similar?
They are similar. They are similar.
Because he says verbatim, he just changed my car. I didn't watch the side-by-side.
No, it's not verbatim. It's not verbatim. It's not. It's not verbatim because I watched it. It's not. But it is similar.
Is it the same setup, premise, punchline?
Yes and no. Katt Williams is talking about riding through the streets, cruising in a car that's kind of hard to get going, like an old deuce and a quarter or something like that. Cedric the Entertainer actually said deuce and a quarter. Katt Williams said something else. Cedric's joke is about how they're going into outer space and saying black folks want to go there too. We'll go in anything. We'll go in a deuce and a quarter and we'll spaceship it and we'll be blasting music along the way. So that premise of the joke is similar. But it's not, Katt said it's verbatim. It's not verbatim. But I don't know the comedy game. If you take a kernel of somebody else's joke and kind of craft it a little bit differently and make it your own, is that still in a joke? I don't know the rules of the stand-up comedy game, but it's not verbatim. Well, then he stole the joke then.
And the thing that bothers me the most about it is that when Shannon Sharpe asked Cedric the Entertainer about stealing the joke, he said the timeline doesn't add up or just it doesn't line up. That's not a no.
Right. And the timeline does add up.
And the timeline does.
Katt Williams did it. Katt Williams did it on Comic View. Yeah, Katt Williams did it on Comic View, which aired before the Kings of Comedy. That's just a timeline.
Yeah.
Steve Harvey did try to sabotage Bernie Mac. He did try to get hired on Ocean's 11. And that is an absolute lie that Steve Harvey said, I didn't want to be a movie star. Katt Williams is right.
Yes.
Steve Harvey isn't a movie star.
No.
Because Katt Williams is right. Steve Harvey doesn't speak well.
Yeah, he is, in fact, a country bumpkin.
Yes. Now, Bernie also didn't speak well, but he did it in such a way that was comical that it didn't sound as bad as what Steve Harvey does.
Bernie just had a star quality.
That's another thing.
Star. Like, he was just a star. I wanted to watch him. I wanted to watch him star in things. I wanted to see his movies. I wanted to see his TV shows. I can't say the same thing about Steve Harvey.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I liked the Steve Harvey show. The Steve Harvey show was funny.
But it was a rip of Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
I didn't even realize that until he broke it down, and it absolutely was a rip of Hanging with Mr. Cooper. And I did not know that he used a tour with Mark Curry. And that is funny that he was touring with Mark Curry. It was Mark Curry's tour, but Steve Harvey has never done anything with Mark Curry.
Right.
So that's interesting. Also, I've heard it on other interviews with DL that it was originally Guy Torry hosting, Cedric the Entertainer, and Steve Harvey. And Steve Harvey was supposed to be the closer.
He was the closer.
He was the closer, but Steve said he couldn't close because Ced and Bernie would go too long. And then when they brought in DL, they would go too long. So then they started mixing up the closers. But if anybody's watched The Kings of Comedy, and I know it was filmed differently to make Bernie the closer, he may have not been the closer that night, but Bernie is the king of that group.
Yes.
Plain and simple.
And if Katt Williams is to be believed, that the producer of the show made the decision to change the lineup and put Bernie as the closer.
I mean, yeah, because Bernie should be the closer.
Yeah, because he shut that show down. Like, he was the perfect ending.
Yes.
And he was the funniest one.
By far the funniest one.
By a mile.
And yes, the Kings of Comedy didn't do a second tour because Bernie kind of didn't want to do it. But that's because Bernie and Steve Harvey didn't get along. Now, you may not understand that now if you watch the Steve Harvey show, because he does all these remembrance episodes. What's the word I'm looking for?
Like in memoriam?
Memoriam. Thank you. Memoriam episodes for Bernie. But they wasn't really rocking like that because think about it. Bernie Mac never appeared on the Steve Harvey show. Not once. Steve Harvey never appeared on the Bernie Mac show. Well, neither did Sad or DL. So none of them really appeared on the Bernie Mac show now that I think about it. And Bernie never appeared on any of their shows.
Yeah.
So Bernie was just like, I'm just going to do my own thing.
Yeah. And what happened? He became a star and was starring in his own movies.
Now, Katt got his own issues. He's got issues with Kevin Hart. That seems like it's coming from hatred. I did a little bit of research. Fools Rush In was a movie that Katt Williams was originally supposed to have the Kevin Hart role.
Yeah.
He was cast in that role, but he was having legal trouble and couldn't go to the filming in Australia, so it went to Kevin Hart. And he's been better ever since then. I also do know the time that I met Kevin Hart, it was my friend who was working on the TV show Wild 'N Out, which Kevin Hart and Katt Williams were both on.
Yes.
At kind of while they were doing stand-up, right? Yeah. I then went to Chocolate Sundays at the Comedy Factory in LA. I think this was called the Comedy Factory. I know it's called Chocolate Sundays. Katt Williams was the closer back then, not Kevin Hart. Katt Williams was a bigger star than Kevin Hart. Now you can't compare the two. Kevin Hart is global.
Yeah.
Katt Williams is national.
Yeah.
Now, I still feel like Katt Williams' stand-ups are funnier than Kevin Hart's.
Yes.
Now, because Katt Williams has had to. Kevin Hart used to have really, really funny stand-ups. The last couple of, I mean, like, they've been okay.
Yeah.
So Katt Williams, there is some bitterness because Kevin Hart has not been on Club Shay Shay and hasn't thrown any shade towards him. Yeah. The only shade that Kevin Hart threw at him was on the Breakfast Club a couple of years ago because Tiffany Haddish was originally on the Katt Williams tour, but he didn't do anything for her. And when you think about it, Kevin Hart has brought up young comedians to try and give them an opportunity, and Katt Williams hasn't.
Yeah.
So there might be some truth to that. But like I said, a lot of things, I don't know about Harvey Weinstein offering him to give him fellatio.
Yeah.
He suggested that. I don't know about that, Katt. Yeah. I think he might be lying. He's also a comedian. What I will say is that the interview was definitely entertaining.
It was very entertaining.
And funny.
And now, I am a big Faizon fan just on the strength of Bebe's Kids, okay?
And Parenthood.
But is it true that he ain't got no specials? Yes.
That is absolutely true.
So, should he be in this conversation or be giving his 2 cents? I mean, if y'all ask him the question, the man is going to give his opinion.
He's also been a stand-up comedian. Like, he goes all the way back to Robin Harris. That's how long he's been a stand-up comedian.
And he ain't got no specials.
Yeah.
And it is true that Sid does have specials, but you can't find them on Netflix or Tubi.
No, he does have one on Netflix.
He does have one on Netflix.
Yeah, he does one on Netflix.
It's not funny. But the show The Neighborhood, I do find funny. But do I find it funny because of Schmidt, or do I find it funny because of Cedric the Entertainer?
Both. Or Tashina Arnold.
Or actually, the girl from Two Broke Girls, because Two Broke Girls is a low-key funny show. Yes.
Two Broke Girls is a funny show. I highly rate. That's a good show. CBS know how to make comedies, I guess. Or are we just getting old?
I think it's the ensemble cast really that does it for me.
Really good casting.
I mean, it's same
Cedric the Entertainer was the star of the Steve Harvey show. I felt that he was funnier than Steve Harvey was on that show.
I felt like he was a sidekick on that show. He wasn't a star of that show.
That was his role, but he was funnier.
Yeah, because listen, Steve Harvey is funny. He is funny.
He is funny.
He's not the funniest.
Well, I think on the Kings of Comedy, it's Bernie Mac, DL, Cedric, and Steve.
Yeah. I
DL
agree.
is still funny.
Yeah, and DL's still out here working. He had nothing bad to say about DL.
he said there will be no DL slander on this episode. He is great.
Yeah, he had nothing bad to say about Dave Chappelle.
I got some things bad to say about Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, so do I, but I
actually haven't watched the recent stand-up. I just gotten some feedback. I don't go on what other people are saying. I need to watch it myself to make a judge for it. But if he's doubled down again on what everybody's saying he did on transgender, I'm just disappointed. I'm just extremely disappointed. And my friend, my bestie, had tickets to the show. I couldn't go because I had to work, but she was like, is it okay if I go? And I was like, I don't hate this man. I'm a huge fan of Dave Chappelle. I'm just disappointed in the fact that he wants to dig in on this.
Like, why is this the hill you gonna die on? Why?
But also, all of us have weird hills that we die on. We just don't have the
platform,
mouthpiece, and the platform of which he does. We all have hills that you're just like, why you want to die on this hill?
Yeah.
But any other things you want to touch on in the Katt Williams episode? Katt Williams interview?
I mean, it was just unhinged and wonderful. I mean, he was complimenting Shannon Sharpe, but within the first 5 minutes, he immediately started reading him for Phil. He was like, you let him sit up here and say this, and you didn't say nothing. Ricky Smiley was supposed to be Money Mike. He was like, Money Mike, I do believe Katt improvised those lines. I do believe he definitely had a hand in hair and wardrobe, because it looked like Money Mike looked like something Katt Williams would wear on one of his stand-up specials.
Also, I had to go to task with the fact that he said Katt Williams said he'd done 60 movies or something like that, and I never played Katt Williams. Wrong. In just about every movie, you play Katt Williams. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
You play Katt Williams. I don't think you could play anything else. You're great in that role.
Right.
But that's all you could play.
But he's also not wrong that the movies aren't better the movies are better with him in it. Like, he's not wrong about that.
Fools Rush In, I think Kevin Hart was a better casting for that. I remember watching that when
I've never even heard of that movie.
You have, because it used to run on loop in one of the cruises that we went on.
I don't know. I even know what it's
Matthew
about.
McConaughey is in that movie. They're going for some treasure or something like that. Kevin Hart is like leader of like these goons that are going after him or something like that, because they're trying to find this treasure. Him and Kate Hudson.
This is literally the first time I've ever heard of this film.
All right, well, okay. Let's just finish up this segment in this episode, because now we going long.
Now we're going long. Yeah, I definitely believe that the Money Mike sexual assault scene, that I'm glad that they did not do him walking out with his nuts and the pliers, Terry Crews. That was infinitely more funny. And then him getting released and running down the street. It was infinite. I am a boy, Damon. That is infinitely more funny than an assault. He was absolutely right with that. If that's how that story went, if that's the way it went, that he stood up for that, he's absolutely right.
I believe it is, because if you go back and watch the movie, first of all, I've seen bits and pieces of it recently, and it's absolutely hilarious. I saw a clip yesterday and I wanted to text it to you, but it was late and I was like, nah, she probably asleep. I will text it to you after this episode if I remember. But that movie at the end gets dark. But then all of the Fridays kind of get dark at the end.
Yeah.
Debo was ready to stab Craig.
Yeah.
In the first movie. In the second movie, Little Joker had the machine gun pointed at him.
Well, wasn't Craig or didn't he pull a gun on Debo and his father talked him into just fist fighting with it? Yeah, I mean, they all took a dramatic turn. Yeah.
Which is like, it's kind of Ice Cube, but like, where were you going with this? But he was what Katt Williams said, changing that particular scene was way better because he's right. There's a lot of things that you can find humor in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Rape is never one of them.
No. It's just not
never
funny.
One of them.
And he's right. They all have a weird face, light-skinned wife.
Okay.
And listen, I would like to put my head in the ring. I have a weird face and I'm light skinned and I'm single and I'm ready to be taken care of. I am ready to enter my soft woman era. And
but another thing he said is they don't say anything.
That's
and that ain't
completely fine with me. If I am being if everything I need is being taken care of and I'm on a yacht and all this, I don't need to say anything for the rest of my life.
I just don't feel like you're the type of person that won't voice her opinion. I just don't feel like that's you.
I never need to say nothing again for the rest of my life.
On that note, what do you want to tell the people out there, Jay?
100 episodes. You see the tiara. I'm invested. I purchased a tiara. You see it. I'm invested now. Now I believe. Now I can see the vision. But the amount of growth over these last 100 episodes, like, literally cannot thank the people who watch and support us enough. Like, wow, it's really nothing that I expected. I didn't. I mean, I knew we had something, but I didn't know that we would actually be successful. And and we'll just get even bigger over the next 100 episodes. And so I'm excited to see it. Stick around. Stay tuned. We're not going nowhere.
That's right. We're not going nowhere. Mm-mm. I'm excited for the 100 episodes that we've done. I'm excited to see where we are in the next 100 episodes.
Yeah.
I want to thank all the listeners and all the watchers, those that support us, those that hate watch us. I don't care. I just thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I'm humbled, and we're going to keep bringing you this content, and going to keep getting better. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And until next time, as always, I'll holla. Whew, that was a hell of a show. Thank you for rocking with us here on Unsolicited Perspectives with Bruce Anthony. Now, before you go, don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, comment, and share our podcast wherever you're listening or watching into it. Pass it along to your friends. If you enjoy it, that means the people that you rock with will enjoy it also. So share the wealth, share the knowledge, share the noise. And for all those people that say, well, I don't have a YouTube. If you have a Gmail account, you have a YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can actually watch our video podcast. But the real party is on our Patreon page, After Hours Uncensored and Talking Straight-ish. After Hours Uncensored is another show with my sister. And once again, the key word there is uncensored. Those are exclusively on our Patreon page. Jump onto our website at unsolicitedperspectives.com for all things us. That's where you can get all of our audio, video, our blogs, and even buy our merch. And if you're really feeling genuine and want to help us out, you can donate on our donations page. Donations go strictly to improving our software and hardware so we can keep giving you guys good content that you can clearly listen to and that you can clearly see. So any donation would be appreciated. Most importantly, I want to say thank you for listening and watching and supporting us. And I'll catch you next time. Audi 5000. Peace.